What's up, everybody? We're here with I got my man Chuck D. I got now he's just David Sharp, and I
Thank you.
got the legendary, world famous Rhino,
Hey, what's going on, guys?
one of my favorite all time wrestlers from our great state of Michigan. Look at Rhino, just for this simple fact. Look at Chuck's background. He's, I mean, we are Detroit. Look at showing off. Show the hat.
Oh, no doubt.
He's
No
got
doubt.
the,
Always.
this is always Detroit. I got the Michigan hat on too. It is what it is. And we're just gonna have a conversation. And I got questions, but I also don't want to ask you questions, man. I want to talk to you about some things, and I love to hear anything you want to give us.
Right.
So,
Well, wait 1 second. I feel bad. I don't have a Michigan shirt on, whether it's a Detroit Lions or something. I almost wore my Monroe shirt, but I do have something that has ties to Detroit, right? Even though he's in his Washington Nationals outfit, it's Dimitri Young.
nice.
Yeah, that counts. That counts.
I like Dimitri.
He actually
counts.
signed it for me too. So
Oh, nice.
Bobbleheads, and he actually signed one for me, and I got it. So I'm very proud of that. So I'll put that up there.
It's a beautiful thing, man. That's beautiful. Hey, listen.
One more bobblehead. I'd like you guys to. I don't know if you know who this guy is.
Is that Edgar Allan Poe?
Nope.
Tesla.
Oh,
Tesla.
Tesla.
Okay.
yes.
Which he lived in New Yorker hotel for. I want to say about 10 years of his life. Maybe I think it's the last 10 years. Actually, it is because I think he died in that hotel. But yeah, it was room. He had a thing with nines, so it was room 3327, I think.
Yeah.
If
Okay.
two,
Yeah.
yeah. 3 and 3. 3 times 3 is 9, and then 7 plus 2 is 9. So, yeah, I think, or he had something with threes. Yeah. So
Nice.
anyway, I think he tried to pick that hotel. Not that I've heard that, but that was my own thinking of it.
Nice.
Playing with numbers in my head.
Makes sense to me.
Right.
So he ran it
Listen,
up.
we're nerds too. Here's the thing: like we've all done some nerd shit. We were doing and feel free to cuss if you need to. I mean, we're not trying. We're trying to keep it semi-clean, but
Right.
if something comes out, because I'm gonna tell. I already told you. I wanted to ask you about the ECW promo on Spike.
Mhm.
Because that's literally one of my favorite things when you were telling Spike, basically you said I'm gonna kill you, but
Right.
bottom line, feel free to do whatever you want through here because this is just like I told you, it's a conversation. I just like you're one of the people I've always wanted to talk to. And especially because you're from around here and you've done enough locally. You probably know half the dudes I know locally, and but then you made it, and I always loved. I don't give a damn. To this day, nobody does a spear like the Gore. Ain't nothing like the Gore. Like and I think my favorite was when you picked up Sandman and then ran him across the ring and drove him in through a table. But listen, Goldberg, Edge, Roman Reigns, none of them do the spear the way you did it.
Yeah.
Nope.
And that's the three of us, or in different conversations, have talked about how violent yours looked compared to the other ones.
Well,
Yeah.
I always say it's the lower center of gravity that I have, and my power and strength in my legs. So kind of like when I played football. We were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
We thought we'd scrimmage each other, but that was a year after I had gotten out of school. We were class of '94. I was '93. So we just missed each other's paths.
Missed each other because I was offensive tackle. I might have blocked you.
Right. You probably would have. But no. But it's just coming off that line. And if we've watched football, or if you guys, David or Chuck, if you guys ever played football, played the line, you know how you got to be explosive off that line.
Yeah, drive.
So,
it's all about leg drive.
Right. And so I think, I try to tell fans that's what it's about, and stuff like that. So, but that's why mine's way better than Roman Reigns and Edge and Goldberg. But Goldberg did.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
No, but Goldberg did get it over, and he wasn't the first person to do it. Neither was I. But he did get it over, and he should have used it as a finish opposed to a
jackhammer.
Set up move for the jackhammer.
Yeah. Honestly, Goldberg did a pretty good spear, and I mean the guy was an NFL player. He knew how to do the tackle.
Well,
it was just something about the violence of yours.
Yeah. I mean, he's very impressive. Really a nice guy too. I've met him several times. He's a really cool guy, really down to earth. The first time I think I met him was when he came into WWE. The first time, I think it was 03 or 04. And and what was funny is Nunzio. He used to wrestle as Little Guido, and he's
oh yeah.
I think he had to take the spear from him, and he kept on calling it the gore. And Goldberg would correct him every single time. The spear, and it was funny because you were saying spear earlier. It doesn't bother me. Sometimes people are like, "Oh, maybe it'll bother them," but it really doesn't bother me. Paul Heyman was actually the first. Joey Styles was the first one to call it gore on TV. But Paul Heyman fed him that line, or that word, and
gore.
Just threw him to a table. But Paul Heyman was one that got it over. He would yell it 3 times, like after I do it on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown. So that's the one that really got it over, So
yeah, man.
Yeah, for me, the first time I would always call it the spear when I saw you do it. I would be like, oh, there goes the spear. Right. And then around WrestleMania 17, when you got Lita during the TLC match and you ran her over, when we were watching that, I was watching that with friends and even some friends that weren't really wrestling people. So when you hit her, they were like, did he kill her? It looked so forceful. It looked like you literally ran through her. And I always called it the gore after that. I never called it the spear.
And I give her all the credit. Lita is very tough, and you lay it in, and it is what it is. And it was WrestleMania, and that was my first WrestleMania. That was 2001, and she took it like a champ. Jazz, I'll never forget. It was in Cincinnati, and it was TV. It was in ECW, and Paul. Jazz, I don't know if you guys know who Jazz is, right?
Yeah, of course.
He is probably one of the toughest people I've ever been in the ring with. Still,
I wouldn't mess with her.
Me neither.
No. Really. And you're smart because of that. She's actually working with us in Impact, and she's just a great person. Her and her husband, I know really well, and Paul, before I go out there, he goes, go out there and just lay it in. He goes, just because she's a woman doesn't mean she can't take the most violent gore out there. He goes, and then when you pile drive her, give her a pile driver like you're pile driving, Kid Cash or Rob Van Dam. And I'm like, and he was pumping me up because he knew she could take it, and she knew she was tougher than most of the people, in ECW, or ever,
Yeah, she was a beast. She was a beast.
I'll tell you, man, I was just like, well, I gotta lay it in because when she gets up, she's gonna clock me.
Right. Well, Jazz wasn't a punk. Like she had.
No. And
look at her. Like I said, I if I didn't see her wrestle, I would look at her and go, I don't know if I would have messed with her.
Right.
I mean, all the years of throwing people out of the bars and stuff. I'd be like, if I seen her there, I'd be like, I don't know.
She can do what she wants. She can do what she wants.
He welcomed it. He's just like, bring it, bring everything you got.
Well, and
Yeah,
cut her in half, and she
Right,
took it
right.
like a champion.
right. So, but no, that was a really good time. So, some of my best scores, and then Jericho through the Titantron, which everybody loves that. That always
yeah.
pops up here and there.
Oh,
yeah. So I'll never forget that. We actually talked about that on this podcast. So I was a guest on this podcast. I want to say about a year ago.
Yeah, for sure. I listen to that all the time. I listen to a bunch of wrestling podcasts
What's one of your favorites?
Because work is boring and different things. Like I keep one earbud in and I'm listening to podcasts while I'm working. But I got to be honest, man. Like my favorite thing ever of Rhino, and I love the work you did in WWE and different things with Edge and Christian and all the different things. But my favorite thing was that last ECW pay-per-view, man.
Oh,
When you were calling out Sandman's family. I mean, I know it's kayfabe, but whatever. Like that was so violent, and you're like, and he was like, ring the fucking bell, and like, dude, that was like one of my favorite moments in wrestling history because you were so angry and violent towards him. Like I've always been drawn to like the violent aspect of it. Like
right.
I mean, not necessarily ECW. I mean, I watched ECW. I was a big fan, but like certain people, and like you in ECW, Lesnar, especially when Lesnar came back to WWE and he was brutalizing people. Like I've always been, and Dave will tell you, and Chuck will tell you, like I've always been into the violence. Like when it's believable, when it's like you watch it and you go, holy shit, that looked really rough. And that night with the way that triple threat match went down, and then you came in and absolutely destroyed Sandman, and he's like, ring the fucking bell. Like that was, honest to God, that was one of my favorite moments in wrestling history.
Well, I don't know if you guys want to chime into that, Chuck or Dave, but I'll real quick. The thing that attracted people most to the wrestling, especially when it became very physical and very violent, they knew it was a controlled violence, like, and you knew that they were very physical, and you didn't want to see them, get really hurt, like when Mick Foley went off the cage or went through the cage to the ring, I think it was his tooth hanging out, and then he got it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
you almost, it's like watching a train wreck. Knowing that, unfortunately, people do get hurt. I had neck surgery. But everything's fine, knock on wood. But it's like, at the end of the day, everybody's going to be okay. Maybe they got fucked up, excuse my language, or maybe they injured themselves, and God forbid, something major happens. But most of the time, it's cool watching that violence, knowing that, knowing that hopefully everybody's going to be all right at the end, and should be,
Right.
So, but I mean, I'm assuming that's an attraction to you guys too, Dave and Chuck.
For me, it was always the presentation of it. Like you could just jump in to wrestling, and you could understand right away the basic characters of the story. Like this guy's the bad guy, this guy's the good guy, or this guy really wants to get this guy because he threw him off of the stage and he hit the concrete floor. Like I remember there was one night where you were out. I think it was like you were out there and Van Damme had been gone for a while, and it was like his first night back. And I know Rob Van Dam as a performer, and when he came back, And it was like you shot him this like 1,000-yard stare, like, I'm going to run you over the second they ring this bell. You have no chance of beating me. Like that feeling. Like I love that's what I love about professional wrestling. When you just get into it, like you feel it, like I'm getting like little goosebumps even talking to you about it, and you were actually there. So I can't even imagine, you know, like you feel like you're a part of a club that not a lot of people understand. And when you explain it to another fan and you see him get that look, like I saw Ron get that look when he was talking to you, talking about, yo, I can't wait to talk to Rhino, man. I can't wait.
I'm like, I've always wanted to talk to Rhino.
He was so pumped about it. And it's like that feeling, like every time I think like, yo, I need to take a break from wrestling, it's getting a bit much, but I get that feeling every single time. Like even now talking to you, I might renew my subscription so I can watch some old ECW stuff, man.
Well, here's a quick thing, and I'm not gonna cut you off, Chuck. But the great thing about it is today in today's world, you know, there's a lot of cool stuff happening in Impact Wrestling. I don't know if you guys get access, but that's where I'm wrestling now. There's a lot of great stuff happening on the independent scene too. You know, they had to shut down the live events because of the COVID, but once it seems like a lot of stuff is coming back. So check out local independent shows too. You can check out online. You can research if the quality of the product that they're putting out. You know, and AEW and WWE, they're doing cool things. But what's even better about being a fan or a fan of the past is you can go on YouTube, especially with these smart TVs. You know, and you can just, you know, go to your YouTube and research, you know, because WWE has a presence on YouTube. Plus, a lot of fans put ECW stuff out on YouTube. You know, and there's a lot. I just watched the Battle Royal. I don't know if you guys remember this, but it was at Joe Louis Arena. It was a Saturday night's main event. And it was a Battle Royal right before WrestleMania 3. And, you know,
I was there, by the way.
Were you? Oh, I remember watching that like it was yesterday. And when Lenny Poffo was headbutted and he got Juice and and then I think Hercules won it at the end throughout Billy Jack's case.
Wait. Yeah, actually, I do think Hercules won it.
He did win it.
I'm pretty sure we were in the arena at the same time at that time.
Well, no, I wasn't there. I watched it on TV.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Believe it or not,
I used to go to Kobo, man. Like I used to go to Kobo when like I watched Junkyard Dog and Andre the Giant versus Big John Studd and Ken Patera. Like I watched Rene Goulet and them.
Yeah.
That's my man, Rene Goulet.
We joke about all right. So
I love that dude.
So Rhino, listen. Here's the thing. We joke about certain people. We joke like we did. I told you we did the wrestling show for a long time. We joke about certain people, and we throw Rene Goulet out there. But I've actually seen Rene Goulet, Don Morocco, and those guys a few times. Right. But like our biggest hero, this is me and Dave. I'm gonna throw this out there. Our biggest hero. Go ahead and tell them who it is.
It's Duke the Dumpster Drosy.
Duke the Dumpster Drosy.
Every episode of our show, we would start with a shout out to Duke the Dumpster Drosy. We were like, we want this man. We campaigned for a minute to try and get him on the show.
Why is Chuck shaking his head?
Well, Chuck wasn't around. So, all right, you don't know this part, but like, all right, so like me and Dave started the show together. And then Dave left the network, and then Chuck became my co-host. So, like, the Duke the Dumpster Drosy thing was something between me and Dave. Oh, okay. And so, like, I didn't carry that on. But, oh, my God, every single episode we did a shout-out to Duke the Dumpster Drosy just because this poor man had the worst gimmick ever.
No, actually.
And he fought it. Like, he fought through it. He fought through it.
Actually, I've gone back as of late and watched a lot of that new gen stuff. Like, you know, that 91 to like 94, 95 era wrestling. He did not have the worst gimmick.
Bastion Booger had. Let's be honest. Bastion Booger had the worst.
Bastion Booger got it. But you know what, though? he rolled right into it. He made me believe that, like, yo, he would eat a whole pizza in like one sitting and then go do a match.
Well, no, here's the thing. I could eat a whole pizza and then get
but
my
he would
ass
eat the
kicked in
pizza
match.
on the way to the ring, though, bro. That's the part that was crazy.
Yeah.
All right.
So
All right,
Chuck,
Rhino, I got a question
Let
for you.
Chuck have a turn. Let Chuck have a
Chuck
turn.
has some time. Chuck's been sitting
So,
around
yeah.
and talking.
Listen,
I know he wants to talk to you.
Duke Dr. Drosy way too long. Back in the day, Rhino, when you guys formed your quote-unquote stable with Thug Life, with Edge,
okay.
Edge, well, Sexton Hardcastle, whatever his name was back then, Christian. When you guys were all sitting around back then, did you come up with the gore or certain moves like throughout the years? Like, because considering you and Edge both had the spear and the gore, was that something you guys talked about way back then? And then,
No.
like things like that.
Right. Well, I'll try to make this quick so we can touch on a bunch of different subjects. But it was in Lincoln Park. I want to say 96 or 97. A.T. Huck, he's a referee in the local area and a friend too. And he told me to do the spear, right? And I had never heard it, never seen it. Nobody was really doing it, right? And the name who I hit my tag team partner with. The guy did a drop down, and my tag team comes over, and I hit him. Anthony, I think his last name's Rutgers, and he fell through the ropes, and it was probably a half-ass one. But I literally thought this to myself. I go, I will never do that again. I'll never forget, right? So there's 2 times I can remember saying that, right? And ATX was just trying to be helpful. He's like, oh, this would work for you. And I don't know who. I remember it was the Lincoln Park Community Center. It's actually still there. So, and I don't take any credit for doing it before Goldberg or anything. It was just a move thrown out there and all that stuff. 2 years later, Goldberg gets it over. He does it. He gets it over. He does it. The badass, right? So, and I know this, right? And I see this development of Goldberg and everything. And fast forward a year and a half later, when I'm in ECW, Tracy Smothers go, hey, and Edge started doing it in WWE. And you'd hear some people yell Goldberg, right? Yeah. So there's a thing in wrestling, you don't want to be a move stealer, right? So, but Adam was doing it, and, it wasn't really like people didn't think, oh, you're a move stealer. But if it's a bunch of moves, then it's like, wait a second. So then Tracy Smothers actually goes, hey, can you spear? I go, well, yeah, I can do it because it, but I told him, I didn't want Edge is starting to do it. He gets some Goldberg chants. I don't want people chanting Goldberg. I'm new to ECW. I don't want the locker room thinking I'm a move stealer. So I'd rather not do it. He goes, I didn't ask you. Tracy Smothers, he goes, I didn't ask you. You think people would think you're a move stealer or the crowd would chant Goldberg. I just asked you if you could do it. You said yes, so hit me with the spear there. I go, well, what if people think I'm a move stealer? He goes, you send them to me. And I'm like,
well, it's Tracy Smothers, too.
Tracy Smothers.
Tracy was the nicest guy in the
there
world.
Ain't nobody that didn't have respect for Tracy Smothers.
So. Right. God rest his soul. But so he was the one that had me do it, right? And then I'm like, wow, that really got over, as far as a good move, impactful move. And I could do it to anybody, and only a few people chanted Goldberg. Nobody said anything to me in the back. So then I started working it in, and I would always use it in the middle of my match, and then I'd eventually switch to heat on the neck and stuff because the pile driver was my finish. So fast forward when I went to – so Tracy Smothers was the one to get me to do it, and this is after Edge and Goldberg. So, but to answer your question, we never would talk about it, and there was nothing that came up. And then by the time Goldberg hit the scene, we were already went our own ways. He was already in WWE, and then I was over in Germany, and so it was kind of like we had already split our own ways, but we keep in touch and stuff. But anyways, and then eventually when I went to WWE. You couldn't do the pile driver because of Steve Austin broke his neck.
Yeah.
One could do it was Undertaker.
Yeah.
So what I would do is I started to do the TKO for a finish, but I would hit him with I would hit Steve Lombardi with a spear on the live events, and then I pick him up and do the TKO. And then Steve Lombardi comes to me and, you know, he goes, "Hey, why don't you just pin me after the gore?" And I'm like, "Oh, this old timer don't want to take another punch." What he goes, you know, and this is veterans know a lot, you know.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Brother," he goes, my Steve Lombardi and Taz sound very similar impression. "Brother, you get a bigger pop when you hit me with the gore than you do with the TKO. So why don't you just pin me there?" And I'm like, yeah, it kind of makes sense, but still in my mind, I'm like, this old timer don't want it. And he wasn't that much older than me, right? So
right.
now I'm the old timer, ancient timer. But yeah, so that's how I started using it as a finish. And then I figured, you know what, people would have a setup move or something. So that's when I'll take credit for setting up in the corner, because and it's obviously on film, you know, and dated. But when I would start sitting up in the corner, and people knew it was coming. Yeah. So yeah. And so, but
it was kind of similar to like Roman Reigns does now with the Superman punch.
Correct. Yeah. And I don't know how I figured out, you know, I'll set up in the corner before, you know, I don't know if it was like I would always do it out of the corner, because in ECW, like Van Dam, he'd do a flip out of the corner, and then I'd be able to level right there. I'd, you know, put a table in the corner, and then it go to the opposite corner, and, you know,
I'm telling you, man, when you picked.
Yeah, so I think that I don't know exactly how I figured. Well, I'll just set up for it.
When you used to pick people up on your shoulder,
yeah,
and like run them like you did it to Sandman.
Yeah, I did it to Paul Heyman.
That shit was so violent.
The Paul Heyman one was great. I love the Paul Heyman one.
When you there was a couple of your shoulder and then run them through the corner and through a table into the gore, it was the most violent shit, period. Like I could not get over, like I was like, this is my guy. Like Rhino's my guy, because like,
check this out.
It was just a level of violence that like I mean, we see all kinds of stuff. We see people hitting people with kendo sticks. We see all that other stuff. But like when you would just throw somebody over your shoulder and be like, "You ain't shit," bam, I'm gonna drive you to the table.
You know what's funny is Paul. You know, and you hear stories about Vince would never do something, or never ask someone to do something that he wouldn't do himself, and then a lot of stuff he'll do prior. You know. And which is all true. And if you don't feel comfortable doing something, if you're hesitant on doing something, they just won't have you do it, or they won't allow you to do it. Because I remember one time with I was thinking about Goran Raven off the stage through some tables.
Would have been entertaining.
Yeah, and this was in Ottawa, and they called me, and we're coming in a little late because had to hit the gym and stuff, and we just got a late start in the day, and maybe about an hour, nothing major. We're, you know, your call time's like around 12 or something. But Shane wanted to see me, and he asked me something. This was during the Alliance, and I only had one concern, and that's if Raven would have hooked my head for like a DDT, would have basically DDT'd me through 2 tables onto the concrete, right? And then or 1 table. And then I was literally, you know, and I said, my one concern is, and then Shane McMahon, he goes, well, we don't need to do it. We're not, you know, we don't, you know, we're not going to do it. I go, no, let me finish. He goes, and this is exactly what he said. And it's in your contract, everybody's contract to this day. If you do not want to do something, you don't have to do it. You just say no, and that's it. End of story. And I told Shane, I go, my only concern is, he stopped me, and he goes, and I tried to explain it to him. He goes, listen, he goes, if you start to have concerns, you're going to second guess yourself out there. He goes, and when you start second guessing yourself, that's when shit goes sideways, you know, and then when that happens, you know, and they try to explain to you, you know, this is something Paul told me. He goes, as a talent, if you're on the shelf, I have to pay you and you're not drawing me money. So if we have to X-nate something, to keep you from being on the shelf, and I can put you out there, then you're going to make me money. You're going to make the company money. And then, I'm paying you out of the money you're making, type deal. So he goes, people, not that he goes, you'll serve me no purpose if you're at home, sitting on your couch, for 3 months or 6 months, So, and I understood that, because Sandman wanted to do something off a monster truck. And I'm like, there's a lot of fiberglass. And when fiberglass starts breaking, it starts cutting and it doesn't stop cutting, even, until it reaches bone. So, so like a monster truck, I mean, it wasn't like, a steel mine. I mean, this is fiberglass and all kinds of, my automotive background, kind of told me like, this ain't going to end pretty, so, but anyways, yeah, so that was one of the things,
I know you're running out of time. I know you got some other stuff.
Real fast, Ron. So if you guys, Ron, if you're planning on getting a boat, plan on getting a boat, you need to go to Big Daddy's boat yard.
There it is. No, we'll go another 15 minutes. It's not like my phone call is actually involving my girlfriend, so she can wait.
No. Oh, no. You got to make that call, brother. You got to make that call.
No. Hey, listen. She wants to think about a couple things. Hey, she could have 15 more minutes to think about it.
Right. That sounds like a trap. I was like, well, guys, sorry, gotta go.
That kind of thing. Unless your name is Rhino.
Hey, wrestling comes first. She can wait.
Exactly.
Even though it was supposed to be 6:30, so hey, give her another 15 minutes to think about stuff. I'll tell you something about Duke Drosy.
Duke,
and you guys will like this. Chuck, I apologize, but
that's fine. Nope.
Yeah, this is me and Dave.
So here we are. This is 1997, and he's over in Germany with us for Auto Bots, and it was a great territory to work and all that stuff. So Drosy comes over and he works as Duke Drosy for the first couple weeks or whatever, and then they change it to Marshall Duke, right? Just because I think there was maybe some stuff with Duke Drosy, Duke the Dumpster Drosy and all that stuff. So he's wearing like black jeans and like a black thing and a black vest, and it really looked cool, and he was in good shape and stuff. So you're over there for like I think he was over there for the full year or something. That's what it was. They brought him in like Graz, and then they went to Vienna, and then they started to change it from Duke the Dumpster Drosy to Marshall Duke, right? So, and it was really cool, and so I'm in there and I'm working with him, and I'm a heel. He's a baby face, and this is I think we were like 3 or 4 rounds we had to go, and I think it was 4 rounds or into the 5th round, and like in the second round, the beginning of the second round, or at the end of the first, I noticed he ripped his jeans, and really bad. He was wearing underwear.
Like he was showing off his shit.
They were white underwear.
Oh,
I mean,
Jesus.
The brand new white underwear, so it's like fluorescent, because his jeans were black. So like I'm only 2.5 years into the business, and I'm a little green, to say, let's take it home, right? So a lot of the fans start to see this, right? And they're kind of laughing. They're kind of like, a little embarrassed for him. They like him, but it's kind of funny. And still to this day, even if he remembers it, to this day, like I never told him that I seen it, right? So, I mean, we're going for about at least 2.5 good rounds with his pants split wide open, right? And so anyways, all of a sudden he notices it, right? And after 2.5 rounds of him wrestling with his pants split open, and he goes, take it home. And I go, okay. So he took it home, and we get to the back, and then I'm like, I've got to act like, well, why'd we do that, right? So he goes, hey, man. I go, hey, everything all right? yeah, why do you do that? And he goes, I split my pants. And I'm like, oh, did you? Oh,
Yeah, is that why I touched your junk on accident when I
Oh man.
right. And what's funny is he always wore black underwear just in case that happened, right? It wouldn't be as noticeable. And that was the first time and the last time he wore white underwear while doing that gimmick. Yeah. So,
And the fact that you just gave us
yeah. So,
gave
so
a Duke the Dumpster Drosy story.
yeah. Marshall Duke. Yeah.
You have
Split his
no
pants
idea
wide open,
how much.
getting out. Yeah. So,
he got a promotion.
right.
He got a promotion, and then
Right.
he got put right back in his place.
God
Well,
damn.
what's funny is if he would have wrestled Fit Finlay, because Fit was over there, I think he was over there in '97 before he went back to WCW. But Robbie Brookside was over there before he went to WCW for the first and I think only time. And then what was funny is, or maybe he went over in '98 or came back in '90. But Fit and a couple of the British guys, they would have gotten in there, and it was a tag match. They would have done the leg splits, try to get it to open more, and they wouldn't have taken it home early either. They would have been like, "Staying out here, kid."
Yeah, Fit was always like that. Like, I mean, just from the stories that we've read and stuff, like Fit was.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you another story real quick. I just listened to this on, I think it was Bruce Pritchard's podcast.
Yeah.
He was talking about Stan Hansen was teaming with Johnny Ace, and they were tagging against, this was All Japan, against Andre the Giant, and I heard this story before, and Baba. So Stan Hansen goes like this, and Andre apparently did not like chops whatsoever. So Stan Hansen calls him over to the corner, right? And Johnny Ace is going against Baba. They're starting to match off. He goes, lock up with Baba, push him off, turn around and chop Andre. and then he goes, okay. And this is when they're out there. So he does it, chops Andre, and Andre's half paying attention, and he sees it, and he gets chopped, and he's like, well, what the, and then Baba starts laughing because he knows what just happened. He was ribbed to do that. And then Andre, I guess, reaches out his hands. He goes, tag me. So he tags him, and then Johnny runs over and goes to tag Stan, and Stan's on the ground, laughing, going, no, I ain't tagging.
It's like, fuck you.
I'm not coming in there.
I'm not doing that. I'm not stupid.
So he learned, Johnny Ace learned how why people don't chop Andre. So I don't know what the end of that story, but I'm assuming Andre got in and chopped him.
And Andre took his giant mitts. I don't have giant mitts.
Yeah.
I'm a big dude, but I ain't got giant mitts.
Andre had big hands, bro.
Right.
Andre absolutely crushed Stan, or everyone was in there.
Yeah, but see, the thing is after that, because Johnny Ace took the chops or whatever Andre dished out, nothing that would hurt him. He and then later found out he was ribbed. Obviously he had respect for him. So
right. Well, I mean, that's half the wrestling business is ribbing people. I mean,
not half.
The shit we don't see on TV is all about ribbing people.
Right. Yeah, a lot of like ribs like that. Like I'm
shit in somebody's bag. You know what I mean?
Right. Now, that ribs like that aren't good. And I was never around, ribs like that. But you heard that they went on. I think that was pre 90s or early 90s maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we've all seen the wrestlers court thing and all that stuff. Like we've all seen that aspect of it, but we know that like there were ribs that like real ribs that went on before that. Yeah. Before Undertaker was in JBL, and those guys were they were like all the things that we heard it all. But
Yeah, you know what's funny as far as when you brought up Wrestlers Court, go on YouTube, and we just did a Wrestlers Court, um, and then we did one last year. It's funny as hell. Um, uh, I think D'Lo's in both of them. D'Lo is funny too. I when I watched it, I went up to D'Lo, and the next time I saw him, and I told him, I go, man, I didn't expect you to be that funny, but you were very funny. And then the first one, and Johnny Swinger steals it, right? They did a gimmick where Johnny Swinger brought oh fuck, what's his name? Excuse my language, but
come on, man, we're good.
Charges of Johnny Swinger's character is more old school. Don't ruin the business. Kayfabe. He uses Carney and all that stuff, which is a very funny character. Go back and watch Impact Wrestlers Court, and they had one from last year, and it did really well as far as ratings and stuff. And then so they did another one this year, and you can watch the whole thing, and it's very interesting. It's similar to Rock, This Is Your Life with Mick Foley and the Rock and Sock. As far as it keeps you your attention. So some guys will tell promos, and you're like, I'm getting lost, because I'm not entertained, or I'm getting lost because it's just doing this and going all over the place. So, but yeah, check it out. It's hilarious. Yeah.
All right, so listen, I know you're about to be done with us, but I'm gonna give me and myself and the other guys an opportunity, real quick, just to ask you this or that, real quick.
Okay.
Do one. They're gonna do one, and like you guys think about it because I already got mine set. Greatest tag team of all time. I'm gonna say. I'm going to throw this out there, and you can throw it differently if you want to. But
WCW and WWE?
All wrestling.
Oh, okay.
So I say Legion of Doom or the Dudley Boys.
Dave?
No. They're. I want.
He's asking you.
Your opinions.
He's asking. He's going to give you two
I've
things.
talked to these assholes.
And you tell him
their opinions.
I pick out of the two. Oh, I thought you were okay.
No,
so
I already know his opinion.
I'm just trying to hear your opinions. That's all, man.
I already know his
You
opinion.
ain't gonna elaborate none of that. Like,
so
or if there's a third.
Okay.
Say the third.
So what were your Legion of Doom and what?
The Dudley Boys.
Well, I say both. I like the both. I think in the 80s, you had that tag team. It was big. The Hart Foundation, the British Bulldogs,
Demolition.
Yeah, Demolition. Legion of Doom. You had all those great guys
in WCW and the Four Horsemen and those guys.
Right. I think the Brainbusters when they were in WWF. You had all these great tag teams, and even prior to that, you had the U.S. Express, Mike Rotunda and Barry Windham.
Yeah.
The Killer Bees.
You had the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov.
Yeah, it's funny because I'll sing the national anthem or the Russian national anthem. Yeah. I think that's how he sang it. But
literally go back to WrestleMania 1 at where was it? Was it at
Madison Square
Garden?
Madison Square Garden. But yeah, man, like the Russian national anthem.
Yeah.
But either way, all right, well, let's stop for that for a second. Who is the greatest tag team of all time? In your mind.
The greatest of all time?
It's not going to be a diss on other ones. I just need to know who you think is the greatest of all time.
I think as far as technical wrestling, I would probably have to say Arn Anderson and Tully. Yeah. I think one of the greatest draws as a tag team were Legion of Doom. Yeah. But I think I think in that, especially for that era, I think in the 90s, you had Edge and Christian, the Hardy Boys, and the Dudleys. They created some magic.
Something different completely.
Yeah. And then I think that's the last time that tag team division has had a great, and they've had opportunities to do something like that. And, with Impact, you got the Good Brothers there, Luke and Carl.
That was my next question.
And then he's now there, so hopefully we'll tag up. There's nothing. I think that's the direction we're going. So you'll have Slater and I back. You got the Motor City Machine Guns,
who have been beasts, and we're from Motor City, so
right. You got the Canadians, the North, which they're very talented. So it's just, you got a really good tag team division right there. And hopefully they'll highlight it, because if people like when there's great tag team, and they're doing crazy stuff, whether it's hardcore matches, table ladders and chairs, having a solid match, whatever, they really like that. So.
Well, we want to see crazy stuff, but we don't want to see stuff that's not, like, I don't want to see a tope. Every match. Like, that's the thing. Like, we watch, and let's not talk about Dave, because Dave's the ECW or AEW guy. I just don't want to see. I don't want to see a tope in every match. I want to see actual, like,
keep it moving, bro. Keep it moving.
I know, but I'm saying in general, like, we talk about this. All right, me and Dave go back and forth all the time. He's a big AEW guy. I'm not. I follow it. But, like, I just don't want to see the same non-selling tag team matches, especially the tag team matches.
Right.
Dudes just jump over the top rope and, like, I could hit a frog splash on you, and you're gonna jump up.
Right.
If I knew you were gonna soapbox this at the end, man, I would have got in more questions first.
It wasn't even the point, but, like,
hey, Chuck, you know what? You're done, Chuck. Why don't you go?
All right,
Chuck,
Rhino,
you go.
I got one question for you.
Go ahead, Chuck.
I've seen it about 900 times. I know, like, growing up and going through the business, like, your main goal at a certain point was to get to WWE. Mm-hmm. When you debuted the second time, I believe it was, when you came in with the Hardy Boys and Edge and Christian, and you speared Jeff.
Right.
You in that corner, how much adrenaline was going through you at that point? Because it looked like you wanted to explode. Mind you, we were talking about the gore earlier. I'm not trying to go back to it, but to watch you jumping up and down in that corner, and you
looked like you wanted to kill everybody.
I was like, wow.
Like, I'm gonna kill everybody in this bitch, and nobody can.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because a lot of those, like, you're in that moment. But one thing that sticks out, I'm very blessed to be able to remember a lot of things and be part of a lot of great things. But certain things in our lives, whether it's with our children, at a Tigers game or something. I'll never forget my daughter. She was, she had her little Brandon Inge jersey on, which friends gave me heat for it. It's like, I like Inge.
I'll give you heat for it too. I didn't. Brandon Inge.
It was the night. He played for the Boston Red Sox. He used to have long hair, but he cut it short.
The pitcher?
What's that?
The pitcher?
No. He was. He didn't play first base.
Damn, man.
2,500 home runs in.
Big Poppy, Dave Ortiz.
No, not home runs, but he played for Boston, but he came over to the Tigers. Number 10, I think. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Casey?
He used to have long hair down to here all the way around, then he cut it short. I think it was Jesus.
Well, damn, if none of us remember him,
Wow.
Yeah.
well,
So anyway, it was the night he hit his 25th hit at bat, right, or 25th hits, right? And then he hit a walk-off home run to win the game. So 2,500 hits, and then
Negley Ordonez?
No, it was in 2010.
First base. He's talking about first base.
Okay. All right.
Right.
Yeah,
So, anyways, I'll never forget. Like, we're so excited they won, and I'm holding my daughter, and we're kind of jumping up and down, and then the lights behind. It just seemed like things slowed down. You know how you have moments in time, whether it's that or getting back. When I walked out the first time with Edge and Christian, you see them on TV, and that's when they were kind of still doing a little bit of goofy stuff. Christian was wearing the big glasses and Edge, and we didn't rehearse anything like walking out or anything. They go, hey, you're going out with us tonight, and I'd done a few shows, but all the pyro that they used to use, so it was almost like a smoke-filled arena, and it was in Albany, New York. And Albany or Syracuse, and hear their music hits, right? And I'm walking out, and then it was like a moment in time just slowed out because the whole arena, and it was packed, everything would sell out, and it was smoke filled because of the pyro and stuff, that they've lit off prior, and and it was just like it slowed down as you're walking down that ramp, and I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool, because Edge would wear the long jacket and stuff, and it's opening up, and it wasn't a mark out moment, but it was like you almost pinched yourself because you watched their entrance so much on TV. Now you're on the other side with that camera walking down with them, and they opened up a little bit because I was walking a couple steps behind them, but in the center, and it was one of those things where it was like, it's just etched in my mind, and I can see it like it was yesterday. So,
well, dude,
cool.
I lost my shit when I saw you debut. Like, I went ape shit. Like, oh, it's about to go down. Rhino's gonna fuck somebody up. He's gonna fuck a bunch of people up. Just because I was an ECW fan like that. I was a Mark. I know Dave was too, and like we watched all that stuff. But, like, man, when you debuted, I literally was like, okay, it's a wrap for a lot of people because he's about to put some people's asses.
Right.
About to do violence. And I know ECW perpetuates that mentality.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just in general, like, somebody's about to get their ass whooped. Because Rhino's here.
What was your favorite angle in ECW that you can remember? Johnny Damon. That's who I was thinking of.
That's why. See, I know I looked like I wasn't paying attention, but I was literally going through the entire roster trying to figure out when that game was. I found the game, and I was literally scrolling through the box score like, no, yeah, it's not, yeah. Because when Johnny Damon cut his hair, everybody was like, he doesn't look like a caveman anymore.
I was going to say caveman, but I didn't know if I was the only one that thought he looked like a caveman. That's why I didn't want to say
that. Was a thing. Everybody, when you would come to bat, like on SportsCenter, they'd be like, and there goes the modern caveman going for another home run. Knocks it up. I remember, I just couldn't remember it was Johnny Damon, but the haircut thing is what. And I have this thing where, like, I got to look stuff up because I got a phone next to me. So there's no reason why I shouldn't be able to answer any question somebody gives me.
Yeah.
Right.
My favorite thing in ECW, I'm telling you, as much as I loved, like I told you, in the first when we were initially talking, was the first thing when I heard you and Spike with you were doing the you had the camera right in your face, and you're like, "I'll fucking kill you!" And I'm like,
"Was it when they stood up against the cab, like locker?"
Yeah, because it was the first time I had ever seen you with a camera right in your face, and you were like, you know what it is? I'll fucking kill you. And I'm like, oh shit, he's gonna kill this little motherfucker.
Yeah.
But then, like, as much as I love that shit, I loved the ECW ending. The original ECW ending was Sandman.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny is that was in Poughkeepsie, New York, and at the Mid Hudson Civic Center, where I did that with Spike. I don't know when it aired. I think it aired, you know, the tapings there, but it was in that broom closet that I went in and I pulled the camera guy type deal, and I remember shit started falling on us because we didn't know. I just started ramming his head. And Paul, I'll never forget, Paul goes like this. He goes, you can hit Spike as hard as you want. He doesn't feel it, right? And, you know, sometimes in a match, and I would never take liberties on anybody, but sometimes in a match, if you get a guy really good, you're like, hey, man, you all right? And like, oh, yeah, no. I felt you, but no, you're cool. And it's like, oh, cool, you know, because you have that respect.
Right.
But Mike Dudley, I tried to get him to say that. And I would never, you know, like do something where it could break his neck or break his arm or break his hand or take him off the shelves. I just wanted him to say, you know, because I caught him a couple times, you know, not on purpose. And I'd say, hey, man, my bad on that. And he's like, oh, I didn't feel it. I'm like, he's got to be lying, you know? So literally, and I think I told him this, like I would start to kick him and hit him where I would at least get him to say, hey, man, that was a little snug, but no big deal, right? Mm-hmm. And he would never say that. And I'll never forget, I think it was the time I made him throw up, but I kicked him so hard. And, you know, I flat-footed him. I didn't point it because you can break someone's rib. Right in the gut area. Didn't want to break any ribs. And I heard him go, oh. And I'm like,
got him.
And after that, I'm like, he beat me because he will not say, because he comes back and I'm like, hey, my bad. Did I catch you with I gave him a couple good ones and I gave him that one really good one. Just on purpose, just for him to come back and say, oh, that was a little tight, but it's okay. And I came back. I go, hey, man, my bad on that one kick. He goes, what kick? I go, the one at the end where you're kind of like, it felt like it, you know, the breath went out of you. He goes, oh, no, I didn't feel it. I'm like, the guy won.
Man.
I'm not going to try to get him to say that, right?
And so Spike was invincible in a lot of those bumps he would take. It was like, I don't understand how he would get back. I think I saw one time, like, Bam Bam chucked him into like the 19th row of the ECW arena. And he just came back out of the crowd like.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing about it is you know, I found out later, and Paul said he would always wrestle out there hot, which I mean, he never seemed hot. Van Dam, yeah. But Spike, I never really seen, I never seen him smoke weed, especially before, or, you know, he'd disappear and come back. He never smelled like it there. So I'm like, maybe he didn't. I know he didn't take pills or anything, but he was just tough. I think we should have.
He was a teacher, right?
I think so, yeah. I think we should have put Spike and Jazz in the ring and said, okay, have an I Quit match.
The match is still be going to this day.
So, but no, yeah, the Spike was really cool. And then one time I choked him in the actually puke. And Paul goes, hey, we'll just do a choke finish type deal. And yeah, so, but anyways, I don't know if he tried to make himself do that, but yeah. But anyways, yeah.
Never can tell.
I don't even want to keep you too long. I know we've already kept you.
Well, no, wait. I have one for him, man. Let me get my one. Let me get my one.
Go ahead, man.
For one, I was keeping track of all the things that he asked. One, my favorite ECW moment is when Sabu was in the ring and they turned the lights back on and Taz is standing there. That was great. Like I said, when you ran over Lita to give you a plug, when you ran over Lita at WrestleMania and the crowd went berserk, it was like, he literally just killed a lady and you guys are cheering. Like, that's one too. But for me, my question was really simple, because hearing you talk about Saturday night's main event back in that era, that lets me know, like the heyday that you watched. So for my question is, better WrestleMania main event, Hogan Savage or Hogan Warrior? For me, it's still Hogan Savage. It will always be Hogan Savage.
No, I like this question.
What? Wait, Chuck. What's wrong with that?
Oh, no, it's definitely the Warrior. It's not Macho Hogan. No, it's definitely the Warrior.
Macho Hogan.
The only reason why I put Macho Hogan in the conversation is it has nothing to do with the build. It just has to do with those Macho Man promos that he did leading up to the match, where he would say, "I saw the lust in your eyes, Hulk Hogan, and I'm going to stomp out your black heart at WrestleMania."
Hey,
come on.
Hey, brother, you want the cream of the crop? Like,
yeah.
It's funny. I literally just watched that promo the other day.
This is a great promo.
It's a great promo. And I watched it before, too, not too long ago. And it always pops up when you look up Macho Man's promos.
Yeah.
And the thing that I loved about that, I remember when I was a kid watching it, and then he would, because I watched like the Brother Love show, because he put in segments like, I love you like a brother, Macho Man. It's like, and then he talks
love me like a brother.
And he goes, Elizabeth, I love you. And then he cuts it right out. Like he said, if you watch it, I love you like a sister, I'm sure that's exactly what he said, but he cuts it out right after he says, I love you. And then I remember watching that Brother Love show, and I knew what he said as a kid, and they hooked me and they reeled me right in, because I'm like, wait a second, there was more to what he was saying, Macho Man. Why are you spewing these lies, right? And I'm like, and then when he set Elizabeth up on Macho Man's shoulder, and he paused it where he was looking like he grabbed his butt, right? Yeah, and I'll never forget that. I'm like, I know it looks bad, but there's more to it. Like, because I remember seeing like Hogan come out and show him the film. So yeah, they drew me right in on that. And I'm just like as a kid, I remember thinking Macho Man's just lost, right? Because he can't see what he's.
Because he was so fucking out there.
Right.
So
like, you can't really believe.
Was there anybody that ever believed their character more than like?
But no. The thing about it was, like Rhino just said, as a kid, I'm like, Hulk Hogan wouldn't do that. Hulk Hogan is an American hero. But now, as a grown man, when I watch it, I'm like, Macho Man was right. Hogan was trying to push in on his lady.
Right. Yeah. And to be honest with you, Macho Man was like, that dude literally 20-some years later made a rap album sounding like his character,
which I own on vinyl and on CD.
He was still full on kayfabe.
Yeah. Macho Man.
Hogan,
really,
Hogan, you son of a bitch! Like he went off. Right. Like it was, and it was silly as hell. But like he was still playing the character.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing about it is he had that raspy voice too. But he would turn on the character. And the good thing about wrestlers then is they would develop their character. They would, and a lot of times it's a part of their personality. And then they would come up with a lot of the promos. And even in ECW, Paul would give us bullet points and just go from there.
And let you just run with it.
And when they started switching over to writers or writing promos, it's hard because a lot of guys don't know their character, and they don't know what they would or wouldn't say. And a lot of times it's not their words. They do give them creative freedom as far as like, if you think you need to change things up in your words, go ahead and do that. But a lot of guys aren't conditioning themselves. A lot of guys and girls, they're just relying on words that they're given too much, because I remember Christian would get something and he would rewrite that whole thing, not necessarily in the message getting across, but in his whole words, So,
I mean, if you
talk about Christian, what's that?
I said, if you talk about Christian, Edge and Christian, when they were with Gangrel,
Oh yeah.
The Brood.
And when they
Right.
first started to talk, they were absolutely terrible. And then
I don't
they
remember
became
that.
Edge and Christian and
Yeah.
became incredible on the
Yeah.
microphone. Like they
And
didn't know what
that's a
they
lot.
were doing at first.
Right, right. And I tell a lot of younger men and women that, your character can develop and change,
Yeah.
and mature, as the years go by. So if you're doing something that might come across silly, don't think you're going to be, typecast into something. You can mature, and I always bring out Edge and Christian, because they were brought out serious, then they became very funny and entertaining and comical, and then they started switching over. They would split and they would do more serious matches and
And now
serious.
they're one of the greatest tag teams of all time. So
Yeah, no, they're one of the greatest, especially in that era.
I mean, it's kind of an easier way to put it is Drew McIntyre right now.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like the fact that dude was part of 3MB.
Yeah. Well,
he went from being the chosen one to being part of 3MB.
Being a member of one of the greatest three-man groups of all time, featuring this man's tag team partner. How dare you? So,
I'm just saying in general.
To bring it back, it sounds like Rhino. Rhino's agreeing with me and saying the Macho Man Hogan match had way more gravitas.
I'm not hating on Heath, man. I'm not hating on Heath. I'm saying they did something with them that was entertaining at the time, but because Drew didn't get to that level that Vince thought he was going to get at to, but then he came back down the line and got to that level.
I'd like to think it was because of the advice that Heath may have gave him on the way out. Yes, because like I said, Rhino was already great. Then when he met Heath, Rhino helped push Heath to that upper level.
Right.
There'd be no I got kids without Rhino, sir. There'd be no Heath Slater without Rhino. Right. He might still be wrestling, but come on.
Yeah. I helped get him a job at Impact, so
exactly.
I know. All right, so real quick, I know you got to get out of here soon.
Yeah.
I know you're like way past your time, man. But
yeah. Well, hey, thanks, guys, and then definitely we got to do it again in about 6 months or after boating season.
Oh yeah.
We'll try to get Slater on here.
Yes. Next time we'll do Slater. We'll get Slater. I want to hear what's going on.
Yeah.
And what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure. We'll get cooking and all that.
Something after boating season. I told you I'm from St. Clair Shores, man. I know about boating season.
Right. Yeah, it's a religion to us boaters.
Yes.
But no, I'll tell you a quick story about Slater. We're driving from like Washington, the state, and then we're heading down, and started snowing, and it was after a show. It was one of those long days. He's tired, he's sleeping. I'm starting to fall asleep. I got to go to the bathroom. And then the one place I go, the gas station didn't have a bathroom. Everything seems to be like closing down. And then I'm just like, F it. I'm going to pull over by this area and pee. And it started to snow, and it's real slippery. And we had a car, so we're kind of low. Usually we try to get a minivan. So when you're getting out, you just get right out. But so I pull over, he's starting to wake up, and then, I'm getting out. I go, I just got to stop here to go to the bathroom because I had to go really bad. As I go to get out, because it just started snowing, you got about 1.5 inches of snow. I slip, and I literally do a knee drop right on the thing, right? And he started to get out, and I'm pissed at this point, and I don't get mad a lot, but I just start mother effering to everything, right? So. And then I'm going to the bathroom, right? And literally my knee is aching, right? And I still got a scar because I had my one of those Zuba pants on, and I ripped the hole, right?
Zubas.
Oh yeah, you can order them online. Yeah, they're comfortable as hell. So
yeah, they go well with your fanny pack, right?
Right. I have my fanny pack too. So anyways, I thought I had it around me. I would have showed you. But so I get back in the car, and Heath had just got done going too, and then he jumps in the car, and then I'm looking. I turn the light on, and I'm like, man, I think I cut my knee open. I don't know. He goes, how'd you do that? I go, when I slipped out of the car. He goes, I go, didn't you hear me MF and everything? He goes, I just thought you had to go pee really bad. I started laughing. I'm like, when have you ever heard of someone having to pee that bad where they just start cussing, right? Because I did the knee drop and then I popped right up. So by the time, I start MFing, he's turning around looking at me and he just sees me walking away from the car, right? He didn't see me slip and fall, but yeah. So, but yeah, he's funny as all heck. So, yeah, but he'll.
I'd love to do this again in the fall and have Heath with us.
Yeah, for sure. We'll get Heath on here. So
for
that
sure,
sounds
man.
great.
I greatly appreciate you even taking the time to
thanks,
bullshit
man.
with us.
All right. Well, you guys be good. Stay
Thanks,
out of
Rhino.
trouble. All right. Take care.
For sure.